In order to create videos, in order to share your knowledge, share your core genius, you need to have a certain level of confidence in yourself, in your knowledge, in your expertise. Confidence is such an important key to this whole thing. Without confidence, none of this works. So in this video, I'd like to talk about what I consider confidence killer number one, which is, if we could just give it a name, it's imposter syndrome. And it sounds like this. Who would listen to me? There are plenty of people that are bigger names than me, further up the scale than I am in my industry. Why would people pay attention to me when there's all these other people already? Or the worst one, in my opinion, is I have no value to share. I may know some things, but I don't feel like I'm really worthy or important enough to just share it. I don't have any value to share. And I like to address these in reverse order. And I'm going to start with having no value to share, because this is really the basis of everything. If you can get this point down, it will change everything for you. This is a game changer. I believe wholeheartedly that every single human being on this planet has a core genius, an innate value that you are born with. It's not something that you aspire to and achieve one day. You are literally born with it. You are a gift to this planet, and it is important that you understand that and begin to change your mindset to say, I know that I have this importance. I know I have a core genius. I know I have a value. Maybe it's not a matter of can I find one, but can I look within myself and figure out what it is and start to feel a little confidence in that. If you can lean on me and just know that I believe in you and I know that you have this inside of you, that might be enough to just get you started if you're feeling this imposter syndrome and you feel like you have no value to share. If you're at the point where you feel like you have no value to share, then I would ask you to continue this course with an open mind, because the more you start to see the pieces fit together and the more you start to see some of the things that I'm going to teach you here, you're going to see that value and that core genius shining through. And so version number two of this is that there are people who are bigger than you, that are higher up the scale, or maybe there's just a lot of them. Oh, good, I'm going to be another life coach. There's only 16 trillion of those in my town. You know, that kind of feeling can just knock your confidence down, take the wind right out of your sails, and make you feel pretty worthless. I mean, worthless. Well, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at when somebody is higher up the scale than you, because that's really what we're talking about here. It's easy to look at them and say, well, why would anyone listen to me when there's that guy or those guys, right? But the bigger you are in your field, the less access people can get to them. Let's take, top of the game people, right? Like Tony Robbins, for example. How many people can really get one-on-one access to that man? Maybe for a minute or two in one of his seminars, if you're lucky to be called on out of the hundreds of thousands of people that are there. You can't just pick up the phone or go to his website and buy his one-on-one training and expect to get an hour of his time every week. It just doesn't exist. He doesn't have it to give. So the bigger people become in your field, the less access the people who need your expertise can get to them. So then comes you. You're an expert and you probably know as much as they do, or you can learn it and understand it if you don't know it already. I mean, let's face it, expertise is really just knowledge. If there's something that you don't know today, that doesn't mean you can't read about it tonight and know about it tomorrow and apply it to your expertise and now feel pretty confident that you can speak about it as an expert. So when you have these big names, the people who are learning from them or coming to them for solutions, really the most that they can get is sort of surface level help. What can I get from a Tony Robbins other than his book, or to go to his conference and maybe come away from a weekend feeling really empowered? But even then, I don't get that kind of interaction with him, the man, that I would want to get, probably. But with somebody like you, people can get that one-on-one interaction. They can get the done-for-you service, or they can get the coaching one-on-one, or the training, where maybe even in person when that's possible. So now you can get deep into the problem with them. You can really dig into it and give them a deep solution that has so much more value to people than a surface solution. Another thing that makes you a little bit more approachable is that you're more affordable. Even if I could get Tony Robbins' time, for example, how much would that cost for an hour of that man's time? But how much does an hour of your time cost? Probably not as much. You can be the person in your field that is more approachable, more affordable, and more available. If there happen to be a lot of people in your field, because it's just a popular field, you need to remember that you come at this with a unique perspective. You have unique experiences and a unique personality. Everything about you is unique. Nobody's looking for a cookie cutter. Everybody is looking for something that resonates with them. So just because there are 100 people in your neighborhood or 100 people in Facebook groups that do what you do doesn't mean you can't stand out. Simply follow the path that we're setting out here. Share everything freely, use your own style, and by law of attraction, the people who resonate with that style and are interested in this topic will flock to you. It will happen. Now, just because there are 100 or 1,000 other people doesn't mean that they're doing anything to hinder your ability. They're not getting in your way. They're not trying to stop you. They're not actively trying to sabotage your efforts. They're trying to do their thing too. And even if all of you were doing the same thing that I'm teaching here, all of you would be putting your energy out there, using your unique personalities, and attracting all the people that would resonate with each one of you. It doesn't mean they're all the same people. If there are 100 of you teaching the same thing, there are probably 1 billion of them out there that want to hear it. And they can all divide themselves up. They can all figure it out. Oh, let me try this guy. This is cool, but now let me try this guy. I like this better. And sometimes you'll be the second guy, and sometimes you'll be the first guy. And either one is always okay, because you only want to gather around you the people who really, really, really want to be there. And then finally, the last part of imposter syndrome is, who would listen to me? I'm not really the expert yet. Well, guess what? None of us ever are. Probably, if your field is anything like mine, it's changing on a daily basis. There's always new tools, new ideas, new ways of doing things, new tactics, new platforms, new everything, every day. It's annoying. All you ever have to be is 1 or 2 steps ahead of the people that you're teaching. You don't have to be at the finish line. You don't have to be the top dog in the entire world at your thing. If you did, there'd only be one life coach on earth, and he'd just be coaching everybody. Because, well, what's the point of me coaching anybody? Because there's that guy. It doesn't work that way. All you need to do is be 1 step ahead or 2 steps ahead of the people that you're talking to, and that's it. So here's a couple of things that I do in my business to stay 1 step ahead and to understand that, yeah, I know that there are video coaches out there who are like, and I know that there are the Tony Robbins of the world in my field, in your field, and I don't need to be them. And maybe one day I will be them. In my world, the big guys that I'm looking at, according to what I'm doing, and I know that they're not all really specifically video, but there's like Gary Vaynerchuk is speaking to entrepreneurs in much the same language that I am. We have very different styles. I'm not trying to be him, but he's speaking to tens or hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs at a time on a daily basis. I'm speaking to a few hundred. I can grow to that level, but just because he's already out there speaking some of this stuff doesn't mean that those few hundred that I have at this present moment don't want to hear my message. They do. They're in my group and they're showing up every day. One thing you can do to stay 1 step ahead is what I do. Somebody asks me a question. I don't know the answer. I go to google.com, I look it up, and then I turn around and I tell them what I just learned. And I tell them the thing that I just learned as if I've known it forever. You don't have to know everything. You can't know everything. It's impossible to know everything. Sometimes you need a little confirmation. Sometimes it's just news to you. You'd never heard of this somehow. That doesn't devalue you. That just means that there's some tactical knowledge or some little tidbit of something that you never heard of before. Big deal. Look it up, read a book, go to a seminar, turn around and teach what you learned. That's it. And finally, one thing that you can do is document your process, right? So let's say you think, who would listen to me? I don't really have anything to share. You probably have more to share than you think. Many of us as experts take for granted what we do, and there are many aspects to what we do that we don't even realize that other people don't know. I might do things with a camera or with video or on my YouTube channel or my Facebook group that I just take for granted. I don't even realize it's something to teach. So one thing you can do is document step by step, to the finest detail that you can, everything that you do in a given day or in a given process. And if you can figure it out and step by step it, and then you could turn around and teach those steps. And again, this goes really well with the idea of teaching the steps, but then doing it for them.